Welcome back to Tao of Twang. I'm Dave. We've got a really melodic piece here. It's just kind of a common rock progression. It's in G, but it starts on the minor 2 chord, the A minor. So it's A minor, C, G, and D. Okay, and it's got kind of that straight ahead rock, groove to it. Now, there's 3 things that are being featured here in that intro that I wanted to share with you. And the third one is this kind of real distinctive triad, use of triads in kind of a precise way. And I did that right at the end of that demo where I went. Okay, so we're going to drill into that a little bit more in the second video in a couple of days here using the same progression. So we might, see a little bit of that show up, but that's kind of a preview. The other 2 things, and the first 2, the things we're going to focus on today are G major pentatonic and the G major scale. So our scales that we're going to use, and then we're going to put this all together in a couple of days with the triads and things. So one thing you can do right away, I got a diagram here now. It says E minor pentatonic. Not just out of laziness. I have some that are probably labeled correctly for this, but I want you to actually be reminded in this way that that relative minor pentatonic is the same note sequence as G. So if we took this diagram here and we started it on that G instead of down here on the E, okay, that's G major pentatonic, same notes as E minor. Now, why is that important? Well, because you may have already done a bunch of work on E minor. You've already done the work, right? Just think of it as being, kind of stopping and starting at a different point in that sequence, right? And warm up on that a little bit. The G minor or G major pentatonic. I confused myself. So. Okay, and you're kind of landing it. I'm landing on the A a lot, right? Because it kind of has an A minor, feel overall. Anything will work though. You can't play a bad note if you use that note sequence over that whole progression. You don't have to go fast. So when you got that under your fingers, then check out the major scale. So that's just your do, re, mi for G. Right. Now, I'm going to show you a slide here of this G major scale in this position. Okay. There's the root to root, sequence isolated there. Sort of like a C cage shape, but rooted on G. Okay. Now, I'm doing that, you want to, recognize that you can do this, any of these scales anywhere on the neck, with different shapes. But I'm going to show you some real concise stuff and how this fits in real neatly with some of that, with the good bends and things for this major pentatonic. Okay, so do a little warm up on the G major. right? Again, you don't have to go fast. Now, putting those two things together, and there's a couple of stylistic things that will kind of naturally happen, but I want to get you pointed in that direction. Okay, so let's say we're, and right now we're not really kind of tracking exactly what, scale or chord tone we're on and things. That comes later on when we're looking at the triads more. So here we're really just kind of letting it go and kind of wandering around, just going for notes that feel good. And maneuvers where we get to bend and things in a way that, fits into our hand position. So what I mean by that is if we use this, you've got, I'm kind of going back and forth between those two things, right? These aren't specific licks, but if you want to be able to kind of visualize, and then when you get up to here, work out on that. Work out on that major scale position shape enough that you can kind of go right to it. And I'll play slow, but here's what it sounds like when you start to kind of blend those things together, and it really deepens your sound instantly. So I'll start with the major scale. Now pentatonic. Now mixing. Okay. Now I played a lot of notes in there, but I wanted you to see how I'm really mixing that all together. But then your phrasing and stuff when you're really just kind of playing more thoughtfully, is you let some of that stuff hold on. And then switch over to that major scale. The chords are so neatly belong so neatly to this key of G. You cannot go wrong with this. It's why I made the progression in this manner, because it's really going to hold you up. You can just do anything using those notes, and you're going to be playing some kind of chord tone or extension without even knowing it. So that's kind of the program for this half of it, right? Major pentatonic and the major scale, both for G, and really get used to switching those back and forth. You can try this in other positions as well. An example would be if you use the E minor pentatonic substitution idea. It's like same notes as G major pentatonic. And then our G major scale there would be. So let's try that out. I'll start with the pentatonic, then I'll do a little bit of the major scale, then do a little bit of mixing. It's E minor or G major. That's the major scale, G. Now, let me mix them up in this position. Just stay in the 12th position. Okay. Now, again, I'm using a lot of notes, but I want you to see that's okay. You know, if you feel like you're kind of rambling with these scales, or you hear a lot of talk about that, I feel like I'm just playing this scale. Don't judge that too much. That's good. You want to have that stuff just automatic. You want that muscle memory, right? But it's true. Another important part of practicing is to mindfully slow that down and let some things hold out and stuff, right? So you end up more with a okay. A lot of this is territory that we've covered before on the channel, right? But, every tune is different. Everything gives you a different, sparks a different kind of use of your own language with this stuff. And this is just a real kind of straight ahead, 4-chord rock thing. And we'll get into those triads here in a couple of days, and I think at the end of that we'll put all this together, and you'll have some real nice set of choices and go-to things to jam over something like this. Let me know how it goes. See you in a couple of days. Thank you.